it's Jeff here once again with Entrepreneur Essentials here at T-Works, and really excited today to have my friend Brad Lambden on. Brad is the CEO of iWorkZone, and you're really going to get to hear some cool stuff that they've been doing. It's a really neat company, very interesting way of recruiting and HR that you just don't see anywhere else. Right down below me though is our subscription button. Make sure that you subscribe to it, because if you don't, you're never going to know when these things happen. So make sure that you do that. So Brad, thanks for coming on, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
Well, tell me a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey.
It's been a fun journey. I would say certainly from my early 20s and beyond that, I knew that I didn't want to just work for somebody else. I wanted to build something with meaning and do things for myself. I've only had a few jobs, as in jobs, working for somebody else. I've spent a lot of my life being what I call an entrepreneur of opportunity.
Okay.
So when I saw something pop up that I could fill a void or fill a need, then I would pursue that. Thought that was a smart way for me to do it. Not necessarily, but some of those endeavors worked out better than others. So it's been a long journey for me, a lot of different things, going through the agricultural world, a lot of different sales organizations. I've owned retail stores. I think all of the different areas and different things and different opportunities that I've done and been involved with have been sort of a precursor to the success that we find now, in that I can relate to most of my clients. I can relate to all these different industries and these different roles because I've sort of been there already.
Tell us a little bit about how iWorkZone started, and then tell us a little bit about what y'all do.
iWorkZone was really the brainchild of our founder and my current majority partner, John Shara. John lives up in Wisconsin, and he had a background in workforce centers and in post-secondary education. He saw a need to predict success early. He said, what if we could take science and replace the normal objective approach that we take with a subjective approach and actually predict success? So take a high school student and predict whether they will matriculate through a specific degree program at a specific school. In turn, take a college graduate or a trade school graduate or a transitioning worker and predict before the first interview what is the chance that they will be successful in a specific job at a specific location. And so that's an easy thought process, a little harder to work out, but that's exactly what we've created. I came on board a few years later. It's been an interesting journey, but always with our goal to just help as many people as possible.
So talk a little bit about what the process is with iWorkZone. How does it work?
To put it as simply as possible, we help people. We are an automated talent mining, matching, and management system. And the way that we do that is we identify two things. About 20% of it is based on personality or behavior, but the bulk of it is really, to be non-scientific, how you're wired. Our science is so accurate that when an individual completes a very short, quick, easy assessment, it creates a metric profile of that individual. And then that is used to match against successful individuals. You know, assessments long have said, well, a salesperson looks like this. We argue, because our science is so accurate, that a salesperson in that building right there looks like this, and a salesperson one building over selling the exact same thing looks like something else. And it all boils down a lot of times to culture, what they're selling, but it's about how they're wired. And the automated functionality of it and the matching of it essentially creates this amazing diversity platform. What happens is it'll populate in the percentage match of an applicant, let's say, and you'll have 40 applicants for a job. It doesn't say, go hire this applicant. What it says is, these are the best matches, these are the highest percentage chances that they're going to have success in this before you've ever spoken to them or interviewed them the first time. You start with the best matches. The results of that have been companies that were interviewing 7 to 10 for every one that they hire. They usually will hire one of the first two they interview, because they're starting with somebody who's wired the way a successful employee is already doing the job. And so it's simple, and yet it's complicated. Just the reduction in time is incredible. But the productivity, you can hire somebody that's a 60% match, let's say, it might take you 6 weeks to get them trained and productive. You hire somebody that's an 85% match, and it's going to take you a few hours to get them trained and productive because they think the same way that somebody that's already successfully doing the job is doing.
You're not having to teach them the culture. They already kind of get it.
Correct. Being able to predict success for those people, that's not only a service to the employer, it's also a service to the job seeker. I can't tell you how often we have people that say, I didn't even know this was a job. And here I took this assessment and said, here's this opportunity for you, you're a great match for. One click and you've applied for the job and you get a call and you're just like, I got my dream job. When we can create opportunities where an automated system is matching people to a career, maybe they didn't even know existed yesterday, where they're going to get up every day and be excited and happy to be there, and an employer is having an employee come in that's not posting on Facebook about, man, I got to go back to work, but they're actually posting on Facebook, man, I get to go back to work. It's really cool. It's so exciting to watch the transformation that happens with these clients. It's fantastic.
Your service, you can continue to use that on throughout that employee's life too, right?
Sure, absolutely. It's used.
You allow it for coaching and everything else.
It creates multiple versions of reports, a hiring report that generates custom interview questions that are just for that individual. So you add those to your standard interview questions. It's going to elicit cool responses from them. Also creates an employee report. That's the one that's used for succession planning, for pairing of teams, for conflict resolution. Yeah, definitely a management tool. There's so many assessments out there, and they're really neat. And a lot of them are pretty accurate, and you get this cool 67-page report. We've actually focused the other way. We want our reports to be as short and concise as possible because hiring managers specifically, but managers in general, we don't have time to sit around and study a 67-page report about how to deal with this employee and how to hire this employee and this employee. And the greatest part of this deal is when somebody says, well, yeah, we use assessments. Oh, when do you do that? Well, after we've hired them, we bring them in, wait. So you've hired the wrong person, you've put them in a job they're going to be miserable at, now you're going to do an assessment, you're going to spend some time learning that. That's nonsensical to me. Why would you not anticipate that out front and build this piece in the beginning rather than wait until later? We're not a replacement. We're never to be more than a third of your decision to hire or not hire somebody. We're just giving you sort of a head start, right? We're the first thing in the process. We want to make sure that we're spending time, our valuable time, and their valuable time with the right person out of the gate.
Let's say you applied as a salesperson and you're looking at the score and going, oh, you would be a horrible salesperson, but you'd be really good at operations. Does it identify that?
2 ways. The first one is it's one click, and it'll compare against every job and every what we call talent pattern, every metric profile that you have as an employer. With one click, it'll compare them against that.
Nice.
It'll also do that with current employees. So you've got a gal that's doing a crazy good job. She's just not quite happy and she's not quite cutting it, but you love her. She comes to work on time. She's really loyal. There's no negative to her except she's just not quite the performer we need her to be. Click a button, shows you her match against every other job. You just go to her and say, hey, look how high a match you are. You were hired before we started using iWorkZone. You're only a 57% match to your job. No wonder you don't just love it. You're an 82% match to this position. How would you feel about that move? Her answer is going to be, that sounds really fun to me. And when she gets in it, she's going to be productive because she's wired in such that way. The other thing is, we talked about resumes deceiving. So there's an optional feature, and a lot of our clients use it and some don't, but this is the most telling thing in our system to me. When they apply for a position, you can ask them to upload a resume. Our system has a regular resume parser like every other resume parser out there, based against keywords. Ours will do the keyword resume search in this column and the fit percentage in this column. From a job seeker standpoint, there's an access to a tool that says My Job Match. So once you've completed it, you click this button and it shows you all the up-to-minute jobs that are live and available that you're a match for, and it starts at the highest match and goes down. And they start looking down through there, they'll see that they're a match to be a line cook. And they're also a match to be a registered nurse. The difference between the line cook and the registered nurse is education and experience. That's the difference. You're wired to be a great line cook at this restaurant. Absolutely. However, if you'd like to get an education look what you could do. And it's so fascinating, some of the, especially the young people that we work with, that see that and they go, wow, you know, I was just going to go be a mechanic, but check this out. So there are some other things that obviously come into play there, but the reality is you can be a match for something that has 0 prep time, and also be a match for something that requires 12 years of school and internships. You know, so it's really fascinating to watch people.
So what's new in
do that
y'all's work
process? We're now really heavily expanding into the schools, especially community college, because community college is such an interesting difference. You've got transitioning careers, you've got high school kids coming out, you've got exiting, transitioning military, and I think our current climate out there has shown that not everyone is designed or wired to go to college. The truth now is employers don't care. If you're wired to do a job and you're willing to do a job and you're capable of doing a job, get the education you need to do that job, whatever that is, which might be running around working on a truck with some guy that's been doing it 30 years, or it might be a 4-year degree and a master's program, and who knows what else. Could be all these things. We're just at the beginning stages of our military progression. We've been working on a local level at Fort Hood, right up the road, as everybody knows. But we're also already in conversation with Fort Knox and making this a nationwide. Right now, our focus has really been on expanding that timeline and that whole end-to-end, start to finish solution. You know, from high school all the way through retirement. That's
now,
where
are
we're
y'all
focused.
primarily here in Texas, or are you all over the country, or?
So, interestingly enough, we took a U.S. map, and we took a pen, and I put a dot on DFW, and I put a dot on Houston, and I put a dot on Austin, and I put a dot on San Antonio. And I started sort of this spiral, and I said, okay, as we grow, this is what we're going to do.
Okay.
We're going to start in Texas, we're going to focus in Texas, and we're going to just spiral this thing and grow. Entrepreneurs, listen, this is not how it works. Just like that, the bulk of our business was outside of Texas. And it has to do with the fact that Texas is such a friendly place to be based as a business. You know, you go land one account that's got offices in every state, or it's got offices in 30, 40 states. Bam, just like that, you're in 30, 40 states. The diversity of what we do, the different industries and stuff, that's caused that growth. And then from that, we've had some different opportunities. We just started a partnership with an East Coast high-level coaching and consulting firm that are basically using our products for their coaching and consulting, while at the same time almost acting as a reseller by placing our system, our automated system, into their clients. That has really helped us grow it without the need to develop, sort of this big high-level internal sales force.
Sure.
And I think, in 2018, that's become more of a prevalent way to do things.
All right, so fast 5 questions now.
Okay.
First one, you wake up in the morning, business is totally gone, $500 in your pocket, laptop, computer, place to live and food. What do you do first?
Probably going to buy some adult beverages and some good food.
Got it.
And maybe like go sit on a bank somewhere with a fishing pole and not actually let the pole hit the water, just sit there and take a breath. That would be first.
Yeah.
Because this has been more of a sprint than a marathon to this point, right?
Okay.
But the answer to your question is, I do what I always do. I would start looking for my next opportunity. If you take failure as finality, you're in trouble. Entrepreneurship is about failure. And I see people get discouraged, and if you're discouraged easy, you don't want to be an entrepreneur. Yeah, at that point, I just move forward.
I love the
Next
fact
thing.
that you would relax for all of a morning and then get back to work.
I like to be busy.
Now, next one, what's your biggest entrepreneurial mistake that you've ever made?
Out of fear of failure and out of fear of what people are going to say, I have stayed with some projects when wisdom dictated that I should have moved on.
Okay.
And so learning to accept that something was maybe a great idea before its time, after its time, whatever the reason, and moving on without hanging on too long and getting drugged through the cactus and the rocks and all of that, that would be my answer.
Yeah.
Hanging in there too long when I should have just walked away and moved on to that next
No one
event.
to hold them, no one to fold them.
Exactly.
What's the best book that you would recommend for an entrepreneur?
One of the ones that certainly affected me early in my life was Think and Grow Rich, and I think it's a must.
Yeah.
Everybody should read that, probably when they're about 18.
Yeah, and then re-rate it every year after that.
Absolutely.
As you keep going and growing.
Sure.
So Napoleon Hill. So what's a good tool that you use in your business every day?
The really good tool that we use in our business every day is iWorkZone.
Yeah.
That's the really good tool, and it's the one that we use the most. But I'll tell you the one that we probably get the most use out of outside of our system, and that is that we use Skype to communicate.
Okay.
And it works really, really well. We don't have downtime. And it just works well for us because we are not all sitting in an office.
Yeah.
We are all mobile. That's a great way for us to communicate, and I use it absolutely more than anything else.
That's awesome. How do people get a hold of you?
You can go to any of our websites, but iWorkZone.com, iWorkZone.com. We'll give you access to the various platforms that you need to get, and you can contact us in that way. You can certainly email us at info@iWorkZone.com. We have a phone, and it's 512-294-3118, and you can get a hold of us that way too.
Now, somebody can go on to iWorkZone. If they want to try this, they can go on and actually do an assessment online, right?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, we never charge anything for a job seeker or a student to take an assessment. You go on there and you can get a report very quickly.
Well, we'll put that onto our website as well so that we've got that and people can just click through directly to you.
Great.
Brad, thank you so much. It was a fantastic interview. I loved hearing more about it, and it's been a while catching up to hear what's going on. If you haven't gone on there yet, and a lot of you probably haven't, go on to iWorkZone. Just run the assessment, see what you think, and see what pops up for you. You may find out that you're a good registered nurse or a line cook. Who knows?
Yeah.
Once again, down below me, subscription button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, because if you don't get to meet really cool people like this. We'll be back here next week. Make sure that you sign up, watch for these, and we will see you next week.